Morning. I'm gonna try doing something a little different today. Um, I never want to come off as like I'm a know-it-all because I'm not, and that I'm a great straight pool player or pool player because I'm not. But I've always just liked straight pool. I discovered the rules to it when I was 12 and have played it ever since. It's honestly my favorite game. If I could just have a steady diet of straight pool, that's all I'd do. But friends like eight ball and nine ball and one pocket to some degree. And so I do all that to be sociable. But if it were up to me, every match I played would be a straight pull match because I just love the game. I love the strategy and the precision of it. So I used to teach what I call an advanced straight pull class down in the villages in Florida when we lived there for about 10 years. I had a few different disciplines that I would go over just some basic pattern play and break shots and strategy. But I had a section on just safeties, and I watch people, amateurs like myself, play, and I just think so many times they give away games by not playing safes when they should. They'll take a 15 or 20% shot and bust the rack out and leave a table for their opponent. A lot of times their opponents aren't good enough to run the rack, but it's just not like the right shot. So I'm going to uh, just go over some basics of safety play, and hopefully this will be valuable to somebody out there who likes straight pull who hasn't heard all this stuff yet. I'll be 68 on Friday of this week, and I started playing straight pull at age 12, so I've got uh, 56 years of um, trial and error, learning as I go to get here. I think a lot of these things I haven't really seen in a book or anything or watched on a video. It's just what I've come up with after playing pool all these years. So hopefully this will be of some value. And again, not pretending to know it all, but these are the things that have worked for me. So hopefully this will be some good. Let me get this thing adjusted down to the table. And we'll go from there. All right. I'm going to refer to some notes I made when I used to teach this class. And so the first one is the object of safety play is not to leave your opponent a shot and not to allow him or her to play a safe and put you in a worse position than you were before you played the safe on them. So I'm going to go over some different safes that I think are really valuable. And the first one is the side of the rack safe. I think this is honestly the best safe in straight pull, and it's an offensive safe. It will break the balls out and not really leave your opponent a very good opportunity um, to get out of this. So, and that's when you're in a position like this where I can hit a full two ball. By full, I mean like a total eclipse that I just replaced the two ball with this ball. And what I'm trying to do is get this nine ball to the rail. And I'm going to hit it bad the first time, try to, because what you want to do, this will naturally kick the eight or the five out this way, and it'll put the nine down on this rail. But if you hit it too hard, the nine, because it's stuck in between these two balls, will go straight down and straight back up into this hole. And that's what you don't want. And I'll explain that in a second. So I'm going to just hit this a hair harder than I should. All right. And that wasn't awful. Sometimes this nine ball is the only ball that'll move. The three and the 10 really won't move much at all, and this will come down and back. So this wasn't really a bad save. And here's the reason why. Because if my opponent safes off these balls and goes up table, they're going to leave me the five or the eight. And if they safe this way and come down table, they're going to leave me the five. What I would like to do is leave the nine down there too. So I'm going to rack these up again and not hit this so hard. And all I'm really trying to do is get this nine ball down to the rail. And I want to leave the cue ball frozen on this 15 if I can. So anywhere here where I can hit a full 15 ball, we'll do it down lower this time, is what I'm trying to do. And I just want to snuggle this ball right up against the 15. So you can see what a great shot that is. The 8 hit the rail. Usually it's the 9. I don't know if it hit or just came close. They can't safe me down here and they can't safe me up there because I've got balls on both of these rails. So whenever I'm down toward the end of a rack and I can see that I'm not going to have a good break ball, it's not going to be conducive to breaking out the rack, I try to leave myself in a position where I can shoot this. This is my favorite, this second ball up. Now, here's something that people will do wrong, and it's a killer. If I get so far up the table that I can't hit the full 15 ball without just ticking the 13 first, then I've got to change and shoot into the full 13 ball. And here's what happens, even though you think, well, I can almost hit that full 15. If you even touch that 13 ball, you're going to sell out. See that? I was like, what happened? Because I couldn't quite get to the 15. I'm going to come right off of that tangent line down the table and I'm just going to sell out. So if you shoot that ball, if you shoot set up for that second ball up and you don't get on it, you've got to adjust. You can't just go ahead and shoot it if you can't hit the whole ball. Um, so if I find myself up here and I'm thinking, wow, I'm not sure if I can see that. If I'm not sure I can see that whole ball, I've got to move up and shoot the 13. Now the 10 should shoot down to the rail because I don't know why, I must not have them rack tight. But you can see I've left no shot here. I can only see about this much of the 9 ball. Same principle though. It's hard to come down here and not leave me a shot. And it's hard to go up table because I got these balls over here. So as you can't um, hit that ball full, you've got to keep moving up the table. Now, here's one that I don't like because it's kind of not for sure it's going to work out good. But when I get in a place like this 9's going to come down. I just shoot with a little high English, try to shoot straight into the 9 and just snuggle up on the rack. Right. And that didn't work out too good. That 3 ball came out. Let's shoot it one more time, see if we can get a better result. In retrospect, I'm going to shoot just a little, just barely to the high side of the 9 ball so that when I come off, I'll come up into the 15 a little. And again, I just want to get that 5 to the rail better, right? Because I came up that way instead of down. Now you could still make this with a bridge and a real good cut, but it's certainly didn't leave anything too easy. So as you start working your way up the table and you're trying to play this side ball shot, now normally this ball is going to have been made. And I get up here to where I can't even see a whole 13 ball, right? Because I'm going to tick off that side and sell out. Well, once I get up to here, I've got to shoot a full 11 ball. And because I've got far more space over here than over here, just 1 ball here, I've got 3. I'm thinking I want a full eclipse on this ball, but if for some reason I can't hit dead center, I want to make sure I miss a millimeter this way because I've got all this room for my cue ball to stop. Whereas if I come off here, I'm going to sell out. So again, I'm playing full eclipse on the 11, just dead center on the ball, just enough to get a ball to the rail. And you can see that when I did come off, I came off this way instead of over here where I would have left the 8 or the 5. So hopefully that's of some use. Um, there'll be times when you're up table or you'll have a situation like this and it's your opponent's shot and he's going to, well, let's not do that one right now, where he'll safe you up table. It's called safe and all the balls are racked up. But before we get to that one, I want to do where I'm in this situation where I've maybe tried a break shot and missed the rack and I end up here. If I'm on this side of the middle of the table, I'll play safe off the 14 ball because I'm going more direct down that line from here than I am down that line. And so I'm less likely to kick a ball out. So if I'm in here, I'm going to try to hit that full 14 ball, just enough speed to get the 5 to the rail. And if I miss, I've got to miss to the inside because if I miss to the outside, I'll sell out. But I'm still trying to get that full hit. Right. So that's pretty good result from there. Now, there'll be times when my opponent will have this shot and he realizes he can't hit the rack and he'll just call safe and leave me up table. And there's two places that he can leave me. He can leave me kind of inside of these two balls in the middle of the table, or he can leave me to the outside. If he leaves me very far inside those balls, like somewhere in here, a lot of guys I will see try to play it safe off here and they'll go 2 rails and leave the guy up here. Uh, if the person's a fairly decent shot maker, you're probably going to leave a ball out there for him to make. When I'm in this situation, I pretty much never try to safe off those balls. I try to hit a full 7 ball with just enough speed to get one of those 2 corner balls to the rail. Right? And because I hit that real good lockup speed, I'm probably an eighth of an inch, but almost frozen to the 7. I've left no shot really either direction, um, where he's not going to leave me a shot because I got balls over here and I got balls over there. So to me, that's a whole lot better than coming off a full rack like an opening break and coming up here and spreading a ball here and a ball there. Or I'm just more likely to leave a shot. If I hit this shot well, freeze on that 7 ball like I did, I should not leave my opponent a shot. So that's kind of what I prefer there. Now the other safe, and I've probably only started using this in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, because I just never really saw it done much before. But this has become my go-to up table safe. And I've seen it used more. I've seen a friend of mine who watches my videos has started doing it just because I think they saw it. So here, I just want to come to the inside of the 5 ball or the outside of the 6, just with enough speed to pop the 5 or maybe something over here if I hit the 6 ball to the rail. And so I'm just coming off the bottom rail. I'm trying to hit what I'm trying always to aim for is the inside of the 5 ball. And that I didn't hit well because I hit straight on it and I could have sold out and left something, but it worked out. So I hit it a couple more times and we'll take a look at how it plays. Hopefully I can hit more precise this time. Where you totally sell out, and I'll try to do that maybe at the end, is if I hit the outside of the 5 ball, or I hit way over here on the 6, and it's going to tick down and likely leave a shot. So it's really important to just try to hit the inside of that corner ball. So I'll try it here from the other side, see if I can hit it a little better. All right, so that worked out pretty good. I left more than I wanted. I would have rather been frozen up in here. So I cut that a little thin. And I'll try to hit a bad one here. It's I'm really good at. And not quite get to the inside of the 13 ball. So if you miss, you definitely want to miss hitting the 7 ball instead of hitting the outside of the 13, because here's what happens when you hit the outside, right? You just almost always leave something. Now that's not great, but 13's almost dead. If I can make the 11, I got a break shot there to get the rack. So always try to get to at least to the inside of the 13. Now the other thing that happens, if I come clear across and hit the outside of the 7 ball or the inside, if I come here instead of hitting here or here, I hit clear over here. A lot of times I'm going to skid off of here and leave a shot. So I'm going to attempt to hit it bad enough to hit inside, the inside of the 7. And let's see what happens with that. See that? See how it comes off that 7 and just tangents right over there, right? So I will attempt to hit a good one more time, but you don't want to be short and hit the outside of this ball, and you don't want to hit the inside of the 7 ball. So you've got you've got a fairly decent margin of error, right? Anywhere from like here over to here. If you can hit those spots, you're probably going to be ahead on this safe, right? And not leave your opponent shot. And the other thing people do, they hit it way too hard, right? All you're trying to do is get a ball to the rail, and that has a little drift that way. So I would have been a foul. So anyway, enough said. Now here's a shot that comes up a lot in straight pool. And I can't remember if I saw Irving Crane on the tape or something shoot this, and I was like, wow, that's a pretty awesome shot. Here, I'm trying to come down steep and double this corner with speed to get behind the rack. I shoot this a lot in straight pull matches. Now, the thing that people do is they don't hit this full enough, and it just kind of comes over here and down, and you don't even get close to the rack. So I've got to hit this with low right hand English, so that I want to draw and take my tangent line way down here, and then that right hand spins this ball hard, and it doubles this pocket and back into here. The thing that I normally do wrong is speed. I either hit it too easy or too hard. It's so easy for it to come out of there and hit these balls and come out and leave a shot. And it's also easy to just come up to here and leave the 1 ball. So I'm going to stroke this with low, about 4:30, 5 o'clock on the dial. I'm thinking pulling this ball hard towards that corner pocket, but still out far enough to double the pocket. So that one, I messed that up because I drew down a little far and kind of cut this titty, right? So I want to hit just a little further up table so I can not totally catch that point of that pocket. All right, see how nice that is? And the guy's thinking, wow, that's pretty good too. And you can do it from different places. Here, I've got to draw more because I'm over closer to the rail. But I still don't want to get so close that I catch this point on the way out. So here it is again. It's just that little nip, right? Back up into the rack. A really, really valuable safe. Uh-huh. That situation comes up a lot where I can shoot that in a match. Let me check my notes here. What else we got? Top of the rack, ball on apex, below the rack, side of the rack. All right. Uh, a lot of times, you'll find yourself something like this. And this is just a really nice, easy save. You just nip the ball, right? And just want to nip it and just come back there. Whenever I can, sometimes you can get the people right into this little, what I call the crotch, where it's almost a dead scratch off of that way, and it's almost a dead scratch here because I'm right up into that angle there. Um, you'll also have situations where you got something kind of like this, and I will say like this, and it looks kind of formidable because I'm thinking, oh man, if I hit that eight, I'm gonna bust all those balls out. But that really doesn't matter because none of these balls are going to break the rack. So when I find something where the balls that I hit aren't going to break this open and leave a shot, what I don't want to do is break the rack open for my opponent. I just nip this back, try to get behind the six, right? And so it's like my opponent has no shot. Now I could have hit that a hair better, got behind the six a little more. I'll try to hit this with just a little more draw and come over, right? Of course, I wasn't even thinking about getting a ball to the rail, but so anyway, that's a good save. Something that I've also found, and this just happens kind of consistently, and just the physics of the rack, I assume, is a lot of times you'll be down under this rack and you'll want to hit this four ball. And so many times the seven ball wants to come down here. I think it's because when I hit the four, I'm putting power into the nine, which puts it into the three, which pushes the seven down. And you'd be amazed at how many times you think, well, this is easy. I'll just do the little hop stop shot here. That was a six that time. And one of those balls comes down. It's like, crap, I've left the whole stinking rack here now because I thought I could just freeze on that ball. But the way the balls come around with the power, it wants to push something down out of that rack. So you got to be really careful when you've got a whole back row going into one of the interior three balls. So if I'm here, I'm going to do my best. So if I'm over here, because the thing is just like shooting this ball or this ball when you were going to tick the ball above it and sell out. If I'm over here and I'm trying to shoot a safe off of this 14, well, if I shoot this and come and just even tick this seven, I'm going to sell out and leave it out there. So if I'm over here, I'm pretty much going to shoot the four ball. I just want to nip this and just freeze right on the six, right? And likewise, if I'm in the same situation, but I'm more on this side, well, to make sure I don't tick the six on the way into this corner ball, I'm going to shoot the ball that's over here because I can get a full hit on it and just nip it back into the seven ball, right? And that's what I want to accomplish. Um, you're going to have situations in a game, and see a lot of people make this mistake where they'll have an object ball like here. down in here, and they're thinking, wow, if I can get some really good draw on that ball, I could come into the rack and break the 5 ball, right? And they'll give that a try, and then they'll do this. It looks like I would have hit it. Um, so if you get in a situation where you think, man, I'm not sure if I can draw back up into that rack and break those balls, right? Like here, I could possibly draw up into here. Now, if I'm way over here, I have no chance because of the angle, and the tangent is just too strong. But I can be over here and think, well, gosh, if I get really good draw on this, maybe I can come over and hit the 5. In these situations, I say just play safe, just call safe on this shot, and try to bring your cue ball back up table, right? Because I shoot that shot and miss it. Now I'm the guy up here having to hit it a full rack and hoping I don't leave a shot. Now we went over, from here, I could either come to the inside of the 5 or shoot this 11. I've got a pretty good chance of not leaving a shot, but I might as well play safe, put the top ball on the rack, try to leave my cue ball up in here, and make my opponent be the one who has to play the good safe shot. Um, Other things, people just will haphazardly, I've got this shot, and it's like, well, I don't, there's no way I can break the rack from here. What I really want to accomplish is putting this ball behind the rack and not being able to see it with the cue ball, because I want my opponent in all situations, if I can do that, to have to hit a full rack, right? I don't want to leave that ball somewhere where he can safe off of that ball. I want him to be the one who has to address the full rack and take a chance of busting them out. So in this situation, similar to what we've done before, I'm not going to hit this ball real thin and try to not break anything out. Not that you can't do that, but for me, over the years, this is a better option. Yeah, and that one didn't work very well now, did it? Yeah, it did, because I'm stuck on the 13. And see, that's the other thing. If I hit that too hard, people do that a lot, then you concussion back off of that 13. But by freezing on it, I've taken away a lot of shots just because I hit it at the right speed. Right. So just some ideas. Here's another thing that's easy to do wrong. Um, I'll have something like this, and I can't hit I don't want to make sure that's not dead. People will, yeah, let me pull this out and make it easier to mess it up. You'll have a shot something like this, and you just need to hit the 12 thin. I'll try to hit it right. Hit it thin, bring it up table with speed that I don't get so far up that they can see the 12 ball, right? To make it over in that corner. But sometimes in trying to hit this 12 ball so thin, let me get it over here, what I'm trying to show. I can say, wow, I got to really thin that 12. But I'll hit it so thin that I'll either not hit it on the way in or catch it off the rail. And then I go into the rack, not meaning to, right? So you got to be careful when you've got this thin safe down here that I don't hit it so thin that I come off the rail and back in and open up the rack. So I try to hit it with some outside English if I can, with just speed, come up to this third diamond here, right? So I'm just saying it's easy to hit that so thin. And so you want to guard against this at a critical part of the game where I hit this so thin that I come back and do that. Probably not that hard, but I break out some balls. So I hope that makes sense. Now, Um, the other thing that comes up, and you find when you play people who aren't really good at pocketing balls, that giving away a point is just mind-boggling to them. It's like, why in the world would I ever want to give away a point? It's like, well, there's lots of reasons you'd want to give away points. So if I'm in a situation and my opponent is on the first foul, and say I've got something like this, and he tried to hit these balls on a safe and left me up here. Well, I'm not going to play that top of the rack, hit the 8 ball safe. I'm probably not even going to try to come in and hit the 15. I want to leave him on the rail, right on the head plate if I can, so that he doesn't have the option of coming into this ball or that ball off the bottom rail. We're both on a foul. He's got a tough shot off the rail. Now he may, sometimes guys will come over here trying to change the angle. Well, if he's now on 2 fouls, I just hit it right back here and say, okay, now you're on 2. He's got to hit this a little harder than he might want because he's got to make sure he gets a ball to the rail or he loses 15. Right. So that worked out okay, but I'm used to shooting that. I shoot that safe a lot when I have to. But you get my point. You've got him on 2 fouls, or he's on the first foul. Don't be the one to break the rack unless you feel totally confident. You can play a great safe. Now, if I was here and he was on the first foul, I might shoot that, if the full rack, I might shoot that second ball up safe, bust him out because, like I say, that's an offensive save. But I think you really, and the other thing you got to do is if he takes an intentional foul, you've got to be disciplined enough to look at the rack, right? I mean, I might have something like this and something that just doesn't look all that apparent off the bat, so to speak. And maybe he was here, right? He's here and he has no shot. And so he says, well, he leaves me up here like this, thinking he's going to dare me, right? He's going to dare me to cut that 8 ball in. Or I think he's going to dare me to cut the 8 ball in, right? And I may be like, I'm trying to get this where it's dead. And if I don't take my time and look, I may think, well, I'm not cutting that 8 ball in and do this. While all the time, he was just trying to get in a place where he could make this 3 ball, right? And if I'm not disciplined enough to really take a good look at the rack, well, then I'll sell out. I'll play another safe like, well, I'm going to make that 8 even harder for him to cut. I'll just do this. Now we're both on 2 fouls. And he just says 3 ball. And boom, I've just lost the whole rack. Right. So if somebody intentionally fouls you, you've got to take the time to look around and say, was he trying to get in a position where he could make something? Or was he just daring me to cut that 8 ball in on a hard shot and break the rack for him? And so take the time always to look at the racks. Um, I'm trying to think any other real safe things. Like I say, I guess the basics, try to take a good offensive safe when you can. Make it hard for him to safe you back. Here's one other thing that comes up a lot, and I use this a lot. Uh, my opponent will safe me into the rack. We'll just play this out. We're going to say that uh, uh, my opponent's got this shot. It's one where he can't really hit the 10 without selling out and leaving me down table. So he just comes into the 8, just trying to get the 5 to the rail. Right. And it's like, wow, I'm in jail. A lot of times I'll do this, right? And what I'm trying to do is get perpendicular to the rail off of that 8 ball. And my opponent, a lot of times, will just come and do this. All right. Now he's done what I wanted him to do. I wanted to get this ball so that I can come pretty much straight into the rail and back into the 8 and not leave the 12. Hopefully I can hit this with some decency. Right now, look what I've just done. He's like, what the heck's going on, man? I had him, dead to rights. He was on the first foul or whatever. Um, and so you'll find lots of situations where, you've got this impossible place and there's really no good shot for you, no good save. Let me put this up here. And I will just do this. And my whole thing I'm trying to do is get straight across on that ball. Now, if my opponent is smart, and of course I do this because I already know, it's hard to do this against myself because I know what I'm trying to do. I'll do this. All right. So now my opponent can't come straight into the rail. If he comes off this way, the 11 ball's there. You'd have to try to, maybe get under here. If he comes off the 13 up table, I've got the 7 and the 12, right? So if you found yourself in this situation and your opponent's left you this, and he's not even on a foul, just do this. Try to get right on that 8. Now it's coming towards this 12 a little bit. So again, if he hasn't played with me and seen this much, he'll just do this. And it's like, thank you. I appreciate it. And so now I just come off that 8 ball, speed to come right back here. And voila, I've turned the tables. Now I'm off my fouls. Although on that one, I'm not sure if I hit the 8. I would have made sure I did in the game. And he's like, crap, I'm on the first foul now. What am I going to do? So that's something that's really, really good. It's getting perpendicular to the rail off of this tangent line. It comes in really handy. Let me see if I got anything else on safeties and notes here. Yeah, strategies on safety defense. Now, when you cannot leave no shot, right? When I can't not leave a shot, I leave them long. I got a saying that runs through my brain: if you can't leave them tough, leave them long, right? Um, when possible, hit a single ball instead of a cluster. And that's what we say. If I'm playing safe and this ball's here and the cluster's here, and I've got, let's say my cue ball's somewhere in here. If I can possibly not allow him, we'll do this. If I can not allow him to hit the 12 ball, I want to play a safe where he can't see the 12 next because I want him to hit the whole rack. So, if I've got the option of coming off of this 13 over there or coming off of the 2, I'm going to come off the 2, hopefully hit to the rail, but you get the point. I'm going to come off the 2 where he can't hit this long ball back here and make his safe easier. I want him to have to hit this rack and try not to leave me something. So whenever possible, you want to hit a single ball, and when hiding the ball, you want to force your opponent to hit the cluster. When to intentional foul. If your opponent is on a foul, I would most of the time intentional foul. Now, if I've got one of those good safes where I can hit that second ball off a full rack, or if he's left me somewhere here and just touch the ball and foul, I may try to do that. But if playing a safe for me is a low percentage and he's on the first foul, I'm just going to find the worst place that I would like to be on the table and push the ball there, even if I have to foul to do it. If I can play a good safe and not get on a foul, I'm going to do that. I mean, if I'm here and he's already on a foul, there's no reason for me to foul. I just get back down into that little hole there and say, "Go for it, guy." Right. So um, here's the other thing: if executing good safe is more difficult than the shot you'd have to shoot, I just go for the shot. I mean, if I'm like this and I'm on two fouls and I've got balls down here that are open and this table is like, something like this where I can't see a lone ball and I'm up here and I'm on two fouls. Well, for me to try and I can hit the edge, I just want to get these so they're just not amenable to hitting, right? So um and I don't even want all this clutter on the table. I want it to be so if I come off of this rail or something, I'm likely going to leave this guy a shot. So if I get in that situation where there's I can't make the table bad enough, where likely my likelihood of playing a good safe is really nil or none. I'm just going to bear down, try to make a shot. So I'm just going to put everything into making this 13 ball. I'm not going to slap them and try to bust up the whole rack. I'm just going to try my best to make the shot. Now I didn't, but that's a lot better than trying some safe where I'm going to bust open the balls anyway, if you get what I mean. So if you get to a situation where the safe is as hard or harder than making the shot, just try to make the shot. At least you give yourself a fighting chance to stay at the table and not to open up the table for your opponents. Um, Trying to think on safety play if there's really much else. Well, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but a lot of times you want to pocket a ball and call safe, right? So when I've got a full rack and I'm straight in, we're going to say this whole rack's on the table and I'm like this, it's virtually impossible that I'm going to be able to break the balls. Well, then I'm just going to play safe here. Try my best to leave the cue ball in the middle so that he can't come behind the rack, right? So this happens a lot when you're just going into a new rack and you just don't have a good break shot. You just want to play safe, leave the guy as close to the head rail in the middle of the table as you can and make him break the balls for you. Um, Anything else? Uh, yeah, sometimes like if we're both on, and I think we kind of went over that before, but if we're both on, he's on two fouls and I'm on one, and I got a table that looks something like this, and this is where I'm at. I want to, uh, I want to really not leave him that shot, or if I do, I want to put my cue ball here. So, wow, it's a tough cut, makeable. And so just to force him to make a long, hard, tough shot, or if I've got something like this and he's on a foul, well, then I want to get the ball over here. So that's a really hard, long cut shot. I want to make him hit the rack if I can do that. All right. Here's another thing that comes up a lot, and this will be maybe the last one. Used to have a friend in Florida. We played a lot of straight pull, and you'd get to situations where you would make the break ball, but not hit the rack, or you'd safe around a little bit. And you would end up in a position something like this. And you're so tempted to say, I'm going to go up table and leave this guy a long, hard shot. But it's amazing how often this ball will get dead. So I'm going to try to just barely touch these balls, leave him up on the rail. We'll see what happens. It didn't that time. But my advice is you're playing with fire and rolling the dice when you do that. You saw how far that came out. A lot of times, and I can't tell you how many times this happens, this ball will come out and line up dead in the corner. So you really, you really have to think twice about safing off these balls up tables. And I've come to the conclusion, unless I'm really feeling lucky, that instead of coming off and going up there and trying to leave him a long hard one, I'm just going to try to come off of one of those end balls, get back over here, because I leave virtually no chance of leaving him a shot. And so, maybe he comes back and does this. So it's not always, but I have given away balls so many times by safing from here off the side of the rack up table and leaving that ball dead. So let's see if we can bank the 15 and call it a day. Nope. All right. I think that's it on safety play. Hopefully be of some value to somebody. And we'll call that a wrap.